There's a lot of things you can do for road safety, but road safety begins with you, okay? That's you behind the wheel. And here are some of my tips for road safety. Number one, wear your seatbelt. That's a no-brainer every time. Click, clack, front and back. Every time you get in, you are also responsible for your passengers, especially the guys in the back seat that think they're exempt. Make sure they wear them because all hell breaks loose when you don't have them. Number two, keep your eyes on the road. That should be the only thing you're focusing on when you're driving. Everything else can wait, including heaven. Number three, never drink and drive. As in ever. I mean, there's no excuses. If you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Just as simple as that. Never mix the two. One without the other, that's fine. Never, ever, ever mix the two. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you've had too much to drink, either just take a cab home, ask a friend to drop you off. If you're really, really stuck, there's even a service out there provided by Lifeline Ambulance that will help you take your car home. Shouldn't be abused, but it's there if you find your situation that you're no longer safe to drive a car. Call 16911 and ask for a driver on call. They will jump in your car and drive you home safely while somebody tails you home just to make sure everybody got there safely. Keep that number, 16911. Number four, stick to the speed limits. They're there for a reason. Now, speed limits, as corny as they seem sometimes, especially when you're out on the open road with a beautiful car, they are really designed because you never know what to expect out there. Yes, any car can handle 100, 110, 120, 130, 140 kilometers an hour. You may think that's not a big deal until something happens, and then you realize why they put those limits there. The width of the road, the varying road conditions. So just best to just keep the racing on the track and use the roads for, well, getting around. Number five, check your car. It seems like it's a no-brainer or something very simple, but you'd be surprised how many people don't. It's as simple as walking around your car before you get in. Check the tires, make sure they have enough tread on them. There's nothing protruding, there's no scars on the outside, etc. May have just happened the night before that you may just have not noticed. Maybe a brand new car, but somebody's just hit the sidewalk and there's a little bit of a bump on the sidewall, something like that. A little walk around just to check that your car is actually in good running order is already a very, very important act for road safety. Wet weather driving. Now that it's a rainy season, wet weather driving, just allow extra distance between you and the car in front of you. Now, there's a rule of thumb. How far before the car in front of you? Well, you don't measure that in distance, you measure that in time. So every time you're behind the car, just make sure you count 3 seconds. Now that's 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. You just pick something on the side of the road, let's say a lamppost or some kind of a marker. And when the car in front passes that marker, you count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. If you've reached that marker before the 3 seconds, slow down, you're too close. You should double that in wet weather. At least a minimum of 5 seconds, but I'll just go double just to be sure. Your braking distances, everything increases, and the handling of your car deteriorates. Nighttime driving. When you're driving around at night, well, obviously your visibility is now limited, but this doesn't mean you can drive around with your high beams on all the time. Be very considerate towards other drivers. When you're approaching another car, make sure you always dip your lights. Don't keep them on full. It's very dangerous for the car that's oncoming, and it can also lead to road rage. Just keep your lights on low when a car is coming close, and then turn them up only when it's an open road. Also, make sure that your headlights are properly calibrated. Don't fit bulbs that were not intended for your car, and always have them checked by a licensed technician before having them installed. 8. Hazard lights. They are there for a very good reason, and that is when you are a hazard on the road, not necessarily to warn other people of the hazards on the road. I see a lot of this done during the rain. When it's pouring down, people put their hazard lights on, and this is done because they feel that they become more visible. And that is true, but the problem with that is it's nothing there to distinguish you from the car that's actually broken down in the middle of the road. And so when an emergency crew comes around looking for that car, or perhaps a driver changes lane thinking, well, he's just changed and the car stopped there and he has his hazard lights on, everyone's the same. Hazard lights are only when you are a hazard, not when it's raining. Also, we don't know if you're going left or right, so don't drive with your hazard lights on. There is really no exception to that rule except for when you are really, really slow moving in traffic. For some reason, your car is having a problem and you're doing way under the speed limit. Or there are exceptions sometimes when you're in a funeral convoy, but it's not there for driving around in the rain. Number 9, use the left lane for overtaking. and only for overtaking. That doesn't mean because you're traveling faster than everybody else that you should stay on that lane. It's called an overtaking lane, so get on the lane to overtake and then go back. Even if you are traveling the speed limit or a little bit above, it is still not designed for sitting on that lane. If there's somebody coming up behind you that is going faster than you, just move over. It is not your job to keep that person at a pre-prescribed speed limit. That is the job of the police. You're only going to frustrate and upset this person behind you, even though it may be wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. It is there for overtaking. Move over when you've finished overtaking and use it again only when you're trying to overtake another car. Left lane is for overtaking. Can't say it too many times. And number 10, well, one of my personal favorites, never use your cell phone while driving. It is perhaps the biggest sin out there because there's so much now that's vying for your attention on the phone. So when you pick it up right now, you could be lost in there. All it takes is a split second. Now, if you count the amount of time it takes when you take your eyes off the road, if you're doing 100 or 80 kilometers an hour and you take your eyes off the road for just a couple of seconds or 3 seconds, just try and work out the distance that you've traveled that you haven't been looking where you're going. Somebody jumps out, it's all over. Trust me, it can wait. It always can. Focus sa kalye, hindi sa cellphone. Well, if you like my comments and you think that it might help somebody brush up on their driving skills, why don't you hit the share button and spread the word around? It's always a good idea to promote road safety. Or you can hit the thumbs up, maybe drop us a comment in the comment box. We love to hear from you. Also, you can subscribe to Blade TV for more of these.